All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're skipping right past the shiny novelty of self-driving cars. I mean, we all know they exist, we've seen them rolling around the streets, but what happens when you need to run not just one or two, but hundreds of them across entirely different cities? Today, we're pulling back the curtain to reveal the hidden, everyday operational realities of managing an autonomous fleet at scale in 2026.
Okay, let's dive right into this. 40%. According to independent analysis tracking the market, autonomous delivery fleets can achieve a massive 40% cost reduction when you compare them to traditional fleets with human drivers. That is a staggering competitive advantage for logistics professionals, and honestly, it's the exact number driving the massive surge in autonomous adoption right now.
But hold on, here is the heavy reality check. It costs an average of $2.3 million just to convert a standard 100-vehicle fleet to autonomous operations. You don't just buy the cars, press go, and watch the money roll in. That $2.3 million covers the incredibly complex ecosystem required just to keep those cars moving. So to understand how to actually unlock that 40% savings without bleeding your budget dry, we really need a roadmap.
And here's our roadmap for today. We'll cover the Fleet Scaling Challenge, total cost of ownership, navigating fragmented regulations, maintenance and optimization strategy, and safety and human capital. Think of this as our iceberg model as we dive in.
Starting with Part 1, the Fleet Scaling Challenge, moving beyond the pilot phase.
You see, as of 2026, the biggest hurdle actually isn't the autonomous tech itself. It's scaling it profitably across multiple cities. The industry's evolution has been incredibly fast. Back in 2020, those pandemic pilots really accelerated the need for contactless deliveries. Then by 2022, we saw the first real multi-city testing from the major players. In 2024, the industry finally hit that holy grail of cost competitiveness, proving autonomous delivery could actually be cheaper. And now in 2026, the entire game is about integrated fleet management. It's not a science experiment anymore. It is a full-blown, complex, multi-city management challenge.
What's fascinating here is that the visible peak of our iceberg, companies like Waymo successfully operating in over 10 US cities, is driving a massive boom behind the scenes. The fleet management software market is growing at 65% year over year. Why? Because operators are quickly realizing that proper software management is literally the only way to reduce vehicle downtime by 35%. If your robots are just sitting idle, you're losing money. It's that simple.
Which brings us to Part 2, total cost of ownership. Let's look at the true economics below the surface.
We're plunging below the waterline now to talk directly to you fleet managers out there about your real bottom line. First things first, we have to completely redefine total cost of ownership for autonomous vehicles. You've got to ignore that $150,000 to $200,000 sticker price per vehicle. TCO in this space is a highly comprehensive calculation. It includes all of your operational ecosystem expenses over a 5 to 10-year horizon. If you're only budgeting for the cars and the software, you are totally ignoring massive hidden operational costs.
When you break down the actual costs, it's wild how fragmented they are. Yes, vehicles and software are large chunks of the pie, but notice the massive slices required for maintenance, charging infrastructure, and compliance. Setting up specialized charging hubs and paying for localized regulatory compliance, they take up a huge chunk. If you don't model these utilization scenarios accurately, your return on investment is just going to completely evaporate.
To really anchor this financial reality, listen to this insight from the UC Berkeley Transportation Institute. They note that the economics are only compelling if operators optimize utilization. Remember that massive 40% cost savings we talked about right at the beginning? Well, it's only unlocked through rigorous, optimized ecosystem management. The cars themselves aren't magically saving you money. It's how efficiently you orchestrate them that does.
Moving on to Part 3, navigating fragmented regulations. Welcome to the regulatory labyrinth.
Trying to orchestrate these multi-city fleets means dealing with an absolute maze of regulations, driven primarily by this number right here, 15. As of recent data, 15 different states have passed their very own autonomous vehicle legislation. There's no single, unified national playbook yet. Instead, fleet managers are dealing with a messy, decentralized web of conflicting rules.
Expanding across cities turns into a massive headache of variations. Like, City A might require local DMV permits, weekly telemetry data, and specific cyber insurance. Then you drive across the border to City B and boom, suddenly you need Department of Transportation approval, monthly incident reporting, and performance-based insurance.
And keep in mind, all of this sits underneath entirely different state and federal NHTSA guidelines.
And the hard truth here? It's staggering. Managing all this fragmentation isn't just an administrative chore. Regulatory compliance can cost upwards of $150,000 per year per city. So if you're scaling to 10 cities, that is $1.5 million annually just on compliance. Failing to plan for this decentralized regulatory web will absolutely bleed a company's budget dry before a single package even gets delivered.
All right, part 4, maintenance and optimization strategy. This is your operational engine.
To keep these fleets profitable, operations literally have to shift overnight. Traditional fleets rely on reactive maintenance, fixing a truck when it breaks, and siloed, manual dispatching. Autonomous fleets completely break that old model. They require predictive AI maintenance that senses a failing LiDAR sensor way before it ever actually breaks, and unified vehicle-to-everything or V2X communication platforms that coordinate charging and dispatching in real time.
And the impact of making this shift is unbelievable. When you let AI optimization step in and handle your predictive maintenance and dynamic charging schedules, fleets can prevent 80% of unplanned downtime. 80%! Furthermore, your overall fleet utilization increases by 25%. The AI is basically ensuring your vehicles are always healthy, charged up, and out on the road making money.
And this whole operational playbook is perfectly validated by researchers at the MIT Autonomous Systems Lab. They sum it up beautifully. Scaling isn't just about adding more vehicles, it's about optimizing the entire ecosystem. If your dispatch algorithms, your charging infrastructure, and your predictive maintenance aren't talking to each other seamlessly, your fleet simply won't scale.
Let's hit our final section, Part 5, Safety and Human Capital, the crucial human element in autonomy.
So, it is absolutely time to bust the biggest myth in the industry, the idea that fully autonomous means no humans are needed. No way. Here's an alarming reality for you. Right now, 60% of fleet managers report a critical skills gap when it comes to autonomous operations. Our current logistics workforce is vastly underprepared for the reality of this transition. You literally cannot run a fleet of advanced robots with a team that's only trained on diesel engines.
So what skills do you actually need? Well, fleet operators have to actively train their staff on some highly specialized competencies. We're talking about AI systems oversight, maintaining delicate sensor and LiDAR equipment, remote operations control to basically step in and handle those weird edge cases when the vehicle gets confused, and advanced data analysis. Plus, during this whole transition period, your staff has to cross-train to manage mixed fleets of both human and autonomous vehicles at the exact same time.
The safety director at the Stanford Center for Automotive Research really hits the nail on the head here regarding why humans are so important. Safety is no longer just about kicking the tires and checking pressure. It requires a completely different mindset. It's an ongoing, data-driven, highly human responsibility centered around software updates, precise sensor calibration, and continuous monitoring. Humans are and will remain the ultimate safety net for these autonomous systems.
All right, let's pull all of this together into a real, actionable multi-city expansion playbook for you. If you want to capture those 40% cost savings, here are your steps. Number 1, audit your current infrastructure readiness. Do you have the charging hubs and the human capital ready to go? Number 2, build or buy a flexible, centralized fleet management software. Number 3, adapt meticulously to local city regulations so compliance doesn't just eat your capital. And finally, implement predictive AI systems to kill downtime before it even happens.
Which leaves us with one final big thought as we wrap up today's explainer. I want you to look at your own operations and ask yourself, are you just buying vehicles to build a fleet for today, or are you investing in the integrated, optimized ecosystem required for tomorrow? Because the technology is here and the savings are absolutely real. But achieving that operational excellence, well, that is entirely up to you. Thanks so much for exploring this with me today, and keep learning.